In the early 1970s, the Soviet Union embarked on an ambitious project that symbolized its industrial and technological prowess. Near the town of Pripyat in Ukraine, the construction of the Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant began. This facility was more than just a source of energy. It was a testament to Soviet innovation and ambition. The decision to build the Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant was driven by the Soviet Union's need to meet growing energy demands and to showcase its technological capabilities. The site was strategically chosen for its proximity to the Pripyat River, providing a necessary supply of cooling water for the reactors. Construction commenced in 1970, and by 1977, the first reactor was operational. Chernobyl held significant importance within the Soviet Union. It was part of a broader initiative to increase nuclear energy production, reduce reliance on fossil fuels, and demonstrate the Soviet Union's capability to harness atomic power. Plant's RBMK-1000 reactors were designed to produce electricity and plutonium, reflecting the dual-use nature of nuclear technology during the Cold War era. Pripyat, the town built to house the plant's workers and their families, represented a model Soviet city. With modern amenities, schools, and cultural facilities, Pripyat embodied the promise of a prosperous future powered by nuclear energy. The Chernobyl plant and Pripyat together epitomized Soviet planning and optimism. However, underlying this progress were significant design flaws. The RBMK reactor had critical safety vulnerabilities, including a positive void coefficient, meaning it became more reactive as the coolant water boiled away, posing severe risks if not properly managed. Additionally, Soviet decision-making often prioritized production over safety, setting the stage for potential disaster. As we delve deeper into the events leading to the catastrophe, the inherent risks and systemic issues become evident, culminating in one of history's most devastating nuclear accidents. April 25, 1986 began like any other day at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Workers carried out their routines, unaware of the looming disaster. This day marked the beginning of a crucial safety test on Reactor 4, intended to determine if the reactor could sustain power during a blackout until backup generators could activate. The test had been planned and postponed multiple times due to operational demands. This time, however, the plant's management was determined to complete it. Originally scheduled for the day shift, the test was delayed and carried out by the less experienced night shift, a critical decision with catastrophic consequences. In preparation for the test, the reactor's power output was reduced. An unexpected drop in power to near shutdown levels caused concerns. To counteract this, the control rods were manually withdrawn to increase power, but this maneuver led to instability. By evening, the reactor was in an unstable state, but the test proceeded. The operators, following a flawed procedure under immense pressure, began the test around 11 p.m. The goal was to simulate a power outage and ensure the reactor's turbine could generate enough inertia to keep the coolant pumps running until backup generators activated. Despite the growing instability, the operators pressed on. Key safety systems, including the emergency core cooling system, were disabled to avoid interference. This decision left the reactor vulnerable with minimal safeguards in place. As night shift workers continued their duties, a sense of normalcy belied the impending crisis. The control room, filled with the hum of machinery and the soft glow of monitors, was about to become the epicenter of a disaster. Stability was fleeting, and the final moments ticked away. As midnight approached, the atmosphere in the control room of Reactor 4 was tense, yet routine. The operators, despite their relative inexperience, meticulously followed the test procedure, unaware that the reactor was teetering on the brink of catastrophe. At 1:23 a.m. on April 26th, the test reached its critical phase. The turbine was shut down to simulate a power outage, but instead of a controlled power drop, the reactor's output plummeted to nearly zero. In a desperate attempt to regain control, the operators withdrew almost all control rods, a dangerous move. This action caused the reactor to surge unpredictably. The RBMK reactor's design flaw, a positive void coefficient, meant that as coolant water boiled away, the reactor became more reactive. Operators, noticing the alarming rise in power, attempted an emergency shutdown by inserting all control rods into the reactor core. However, the control rods were tipped with graphite, initially displacing coolant and increasing reactivity before fully inserting. This design flaw triggered an uncontrollable reaction. Within seconds, the reactor's power output surged to over 100 times its normal operational level. At 1:23:44 a.m., the reactor exploded. The explosion blew the 2,000-ton reactor lid through the roof, releasing a massive cloud of radioactive material into the atmosphere. The explosion and subsequent fire illuminated the night sky, creating a scene of chaos and horror. The control room was thrown into disarray. Stunned operators struggled to comprehend the magnitude of the disaster. Alarms blared, and radiation levels skyrocketed. Some workers died instantly, while others received lethal doses of radiation. Despite the confusion, initial efforts were made to contain the situation. Firefighters from Pripyat were dispatched to tackle the blaze, unaware of the deadly radiation they faced. These brave first responders fought heroically, but many later succumbed to radiation sickness. The initial response was chaotic and uncoordinated. The severity of the situation was not immediately understood, and misinformation compounded the confusion. The plant's staff and emergency responders faced an unprecedented crisis, with little guidance on managing a disaster of this scale. In the immediate aftermath of the explosion, as the fire raged, radioactive material continued spewing into the atmosphere. The plant's management and local authorities struggled to grasp the disaster's full extent. Meanwhile, Pripyat's residents remained unaware of the deadly threat. By early morning on April 26th, firefighters and plant workers were still battling the inferno at Reactor 4. Many first responders received lethal doses of radiation, leading to severe radiation sickness and death within weeks. The plant and its surroundings became a radioactive wasteland. Despite the escalating disaster, Soviet authorities initially downplayed its severity. It wasn't until radiation alarms went off in a Swedish nuclear plant, over 1,000 kilometers away, that the international community became aware. The Swedish government pressured the Soviet Union for information, leading to the first official acknowledgement on April 28th, 2 days after the explosion. Pripyat's evacuation began 36 hours after the explosion, at 2 p.m. on April 27th. Buses lined the streets as nearly 49,000 residents were hurriedly evacuated, leaving their homes and possessions. They were told the evacuation was temporary, but they would never return. The city became a ghost town overnight. The Soviet government mobilized a massive response to contain the disaster. Thousands of soldiers, engineers, and volunteers, known as liquidators, were sent to the site. Their tasks included extinguishing fires, decontaminating the area, and constructing a concrete sarcophagus to encase Reactor 4 and prevent further radioactive release. The initial response focused on minimizing immediate dangers, but long-term consequences were vast and devastating. Radiation spread across much of Europe, significantly contaminating Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia. Health impacts included acute radiation sickness, cancer, and genetic mutations affecting generations. The Chernobyl disaster had profound implications for the Soviet Union. It exposed systemic flaws and secrecy within the Soviet nuclear industry, and led to significant changes in nuclear safety protocols and policies. Internationally, it prompted a re-evaluation of nuclear power and a push for improved safety standards. In the years that followed, the exclusion zone around Chernobyl expanded to a 30-kilometer radius, making it one of the most radioactive places on Earth. Long-term cleanup and containment efforts continue, with a new, more secure sarcophagus completed in 2016 to cover the aging structure built in the immediate aftermath. Chernobyl's legacy is a stark reminder of nuclear power's potential dangers and the importance of rigorous safety measures. It is also a testament to the resilience and sacrifice of those who risked their lives to contain the disaster and protect the world from greater harm. The Chernobyl disaster left an indelible mark on history, serving as a cautionary tale about the perils of nuclear energy and the critical importance of safety and transparency. It highlights the profound impact of human error, systemic failure, and the often hidden costs of technological advancement. Reflecting on April 26, 1986, and its aftermath, reminds us of the need for vigilance, accountability, and resilience. Lessons learned from Chernobyl shape our approach to nuclear energy and disaster management, underscoring the importance of respecting the power we wield and the world we inhabit. Chernobyl's story is not just one of tragedy, but also of hope and recovery. It reminds us of humanity's capacity to confront and overcome adversity, ensuring future generations learn from the past and build a safer, more sustainable world. If you want more videos like this, you can subscribe to my channel to support me and press the like button if you like the video. Thanks for watching. And remember, whatever you do, don't be left without a story.